Okay, in changing conditions of the loan, we've talked a bit about how the final repayment is often not the same as all the other repayments because you're sort of catching up the last bit that's left over. So we're going to show how to calculate that final payment now with this example. So there's a 20-year mortgage, $625,000 paid monthly, compounding monthly, 3.7% interest rate. First of all, let's calculate the initial repayment. So this should be something that you have the hang of by now. If you just open up your finance solver, make sure everything's in correctly. So your N is going to be a 20-year mortgage, so that's 20 times 12. 3.75 is your interest rate. Your PV is 625,000. PMT is the unknown, and FV is 0. So we're going to hit enter there, leaving CPY and PPY as 12, because it's a monthly loan. So that there is the payment amount. Now, if we write that as an actual answer as well, 3705.55 per month. Okay, now after 5 years, the interest rate changes. So this is something that's quite common. Every year, the interest rate changes with the economy. So after 5 years, just to make this as an easy example, after 5 years it changes. So 4.25% for the remainder of the loan, so for another 15 years. So now we've got two different blocks of the loan. We've got the first block, which is years 1 to 5, and then we've got years 5 plus. Okay, and we're going to have to calculate each one separately. One is a separate finance solver calculation. So our I is now 4.25. And we're going to have to work out where we get to in the first 5 years, first of all. So the first 5 years is 5 lots of 12 at 3.75, starting value of that. PMT we keep the same because that hasn't changed. And FV we don't know, so that's the blank in this first calculation. So that means that our outstanding balance after 5 years is 509,000. So quite a bit's been paid off in that time, in the first 5 years. But there's still plenty left to go. Okay, now that becomes your PV for next part. Okay, so for the next part, years 5 plus, we're going to just shift around some of these numbers. So we're going to control copy that final value there, and we're going to paste it into the principal value. And remember to remove the sign because we owe that to the bank. We're then going to put 0 on there, and we're going to change the interest rate to 4.25%. 4.25%. Okay, and this is where we're going to leave N as blank because we want to know how long the loan is going to be. So if we hit enter here, this will tell us that there's 188.8 payments. Now that can't be. You can't make a 0.8 of a payment. You have to make a whole number. So actually there's going to be 189 payments. It's just the final payment will not be very much. So I'm just going to... Okay, so now we're calculating the final payment. So if that was 189 payments total, because you always round up for N, then calculate the final repayment. We're going to have to calculate what that was left at the end of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out how much was owing after the 188th payment. So in order to do that, we're going to keep everything the same that was in here. We're going to change this to 188 by deleting all of that. And we're going to put FV as our unknown this time, and we're going to work out what that was. So that's how much was owing at the end of the second to last payment. So this is key. You have to do the second to last payment. Okay, and if that much was owing, then we can calculate for the final payment, we need to pay off just that amount. But remember, before you get the chance to pay that, they will charge interest on top of that. So even though you owe a bit less, they'll chuck on a little bit of interest for that final month to get every little bit of money out of the person as possible for the loan. So what we have a choice of doing this in different ways now, but the quickest way to do this is to use Finance Solver again. So we're going to control copy that into the amount owing, and we're going to take out the negative sign. This time we don't know what the repayment is, so that's got to be the blank number. We know that FV is going to be 0 because we want it to get down to nothing in that payment time. The interest rate doesn't change, but this time this is in a single repayment. So this bit needs to be changed to 1 because it's a single final repayment. Everything else is left the same, and so we'll hit enter with PMT as our blank. Enter. And so you can see here that even though we owed 2,974, they're going to charge us 2,985 because we left it one more month. And that's what loans do. The final repayment will just add on a little bit there. So the final amount is in that box there. So I'm just going to copy paste that into our workings. Okay. So the answer to the final payment is 2985.49. Final payment. And you have to take into account the fact that the final payment is different when you're doing longer questions, because when you're working out the overall interest, the fact that the last one's different is still important. And we'll get to a question like that in the next video.